Hello, everybody. Thank you for tuning in to another StarCraft 2 broadcast. I am Anaris, bringing you a 2 versus 2 best of match series. This is something that I don't often get to cast on my YouTube channel, but nonetheless, these make for some of the most exciting games. So we're going to start off here and introduce the players. The yellow Zerg and the purple Terran with Empire Kaz and Aristeo. I probably pronounced that wrong, and I do apologize. But their opponents are going to be Mouse ThorZaiN, Red Terran up in the 2 o'clock position, and MaNa, the same team, up in the 1 o'clock position on, oh god, Typhoon? Tempest. This is Tempest. I swear, I always get this map name confused. It's been around forever, and I still just forget the name half the time. So, for those of you who maybe don't spend too much time doing team games, they are very different from 1v1s. A lot of the strategies that you do, as you get into the bigger and bigger games, they're less and less effective. You kind of have to plan more and more for cheese and one-base style of play. I've noticed in particular on this map, I mean, a lot of 2v2 maps, if not all, are geared towards one-base play, because the expansion is so exposed, and your opponents are very likely to punish you if you get greedy early. This map, more than others, especially because you look and see how big this entrance is right here. Not to mention they can even come in from around this area, double back, skip it entirely, and of course the only real defensive position you've got right here for the mains is this one area right here. Otherwise, if your opponent gets a foothold down here at the bottom, they can isolate you two, pressure one, defend against the other. Very difficult to deal with. So I'm really going to be looking to see what these players open up with here. We see MaNa opening up pretty standard build so far. One gateway gas, etc. ThorZaiN opening up with 2 racks. Is he going to be going for some type of pressure play, or is he just going to be building off of this and maybe just defending, holding back a little bit, at least checking for expansion, stuff like that? You got to remember, again, in a 1v1, one would look at this and just automatically assume, okay, 2 racks pressure, he's going to be sending those Marines out. And it's very likely that he still will. But sometimes players just like to do it because, more so in team games, walling off is a critical point. If you don't do it, you're not going to have just one person running into your base. You're going to have 2, and it's very difficult to get rid of 6 Zerglings and, you know, a couple Marines, whereas it's a little bit more easier just to get rid of those Zerglings. So it's kind of stated the obvious, I know, but sometimes these things just kind of need to be said for clarification here, since, again, mostly I do 1v1, so I just want to explain as we go the differences. Now, Kaz is going to go ahead and drop a bunker down here at the bottom. I mean, this is pretty much to be expected. It's easy to defend down here, especially since you got these 2 choke positions coming in right there and right there. I think that's kind of another similar reason why ThorZaiN did this. Doubles as a wall. And he can just as easily rally his Marines behind it. And over here we do have him, again, just kind of keeping these Marines, but not looking to push it too far. Notice how Aristeo is coming out with them Zerglings as well. Likely is aware of the fact that this wall is here. As a matter of fact, if he doesn't know, I'm sure will retreat very quickly. But notice how there's actually a bunker going down outside of the wall. Again, against the Zerg, you'd probably see it back here, but with the Zerg and the Terran, you kind of have to plan for those Marines being able to outrange the barracks, outrange the bunker behind it, and, you know, get some free kills there, opening it up for Aristeo to run through. So, ThorZaiN going for a very early mobile defense. I like that a lot. Opting for an early expansion as well. Again, this is something that could be punished later on. Look at what Zerg is actually doing. He's going for a 2 gas, 1 base, going to lair tech. I'm really curious to see if this is going to be an infestor play. That's something that I've seen before. 1 base infestor can be very powerful in conjunction with, you know, what we're seeing here is Marine siege tank. So we'll think about the dynamics of it for a minute. By themselves, pretty dangerous. But when you've got the ability to hold an army in place at range, out of range of firing at the siege tanks, while they do splash damage on top of the fungal growth splash damage, that is extremely powerful. So there's certainly a viable strategy here, and I'm going to be curious to see what happens in the next few minutes, as he is going to be, it looks like, expanding after all, but is going to be getting that infestation pit here done in just a second or two. We, of course, have the continued production of the siege tanks, the Marines, and Aristeo coming up here to scout out just a little bit. TP, I think we just think about the dynamics of this for a second. They are also going to have siege tanks, So that's great. Protoss is going to have to be extremely careful. That tactic that I was talking about a little bit ago, obviously you don't see a lot of siege tanks in PvT because Protoss has the ability to close the gap very quickly, charge lots, immortals, and deal with those siege tanks. But with Fungal in the picture, all of a sudden that ball of zealots is just going to be sitting there stuck getting the crap shot out of it from those siege tanks 8 spaces away. The Colossi, obviously something that's going to be very powerful as well, and I believe that's something that we're going to see from the Protoss player here. Again, with the Terran player having the siege tanks, that siege tech, they're going to be able to cover the long distance, but they don't really have such great coverage short distance. Obviously they can't even fire, near melee range. But more importantly, the Colossi can provide that splash damage early on, that close range that the siege tank is kind of lacking. So we're really going to see some great group dynamics here today. I feel that both of the players up here at the top, having claimed their expansions, are going to be in a pretty good position, but notice how Kos is moving out with his friend Aristeo here, and will be in a great position to put some pressure on. Because right now, I say that because you look at what's up here for ThorZaiN and MaNa. You've got siege tanks and gateway units. Or a siege tank, marines, and gateway units. Really not a great force to defend against this. So these infestors up here are just waiting for these marines to bunch up, which they are right now, and we're going to see actually those zerglings come in as well. They're going to be running out of the line of siege tank fire. So that's going to be very careful. Oh man, this is just begging for a fungal girth. Fantastic placement on that one. You are going to see that siege tank pop off an extra infestor or two. But all the while, notice how these marines have kept close eye on the siege tank, made sure these gateway forces are not able to reinforce. You see how they are effectively isolated down here. MaNa realizing, okay, I've got to get this Colossus, and now he's going to be in a little bit better position to engage. He's going to decide to drop a force field. Oh, he could have dropped another one or two right here. Blocked those marines entirely, opted to try to keep them from running over here instead. So now, so far, units lost. Just kind of take an eye on the resource tab here. You can see how things are looking. Of course, APM as well. I'm sure some players will be interested in that. But this attack, I feel like it has the potential to possibly shut down one of these expansions. Likely not both. Again, you're having, what you have here is kind of players assuming opposite roles. These two down here on the minimap, they went for one base plays into expansions. These guys are kind of going for expansions and now starting to build up their army. So they're vulnerable, but they only will be for a very short amount of time. Obviously, this Nexus could go down, and if it does, I feel like MaNa is going to be in a very awkward position, especially since the fact that the Zerg player here, he's getting that expansion going. He's going to be able to support a larger amount of those tech units. Right now, he's pretty much just relied on the fact that the early infestor support really only has to play, a secondary role to the siege tank fire that the Terran player has employed here, and he's been fine with that. But there's going to come a point in the near future where he's going to have to assume a more direct role. And I think that's kind of where we're seeing him start to make these roaches now. He's got Burrow on the way, and obviously this expansion has gone down. So now MaNa, like I said, he's in a little bit of an awkward situation. Oh, definitely cannot be sending any of those units out to kill overlords or just, taking stray damage. Certainly not something that he can really recover from. So let's actually take a look now here as the forces are retreating back. I feel like this is a good position for purple and yellow to be in, because now their opponents, they know ThorZaiN has established himself in expansion. They know he's got several siege tanks out and about, and also some Vikings to spot for them. We look over here, the Protoss player has got a full amount of scouting for these players, but notice until just now, the Terran did not have any spotters. So now they have those. They might decide to press up again, but notice we've also got Neural Parasite on the way. And with these spotters, you're going to see they do run the risk of being taken out very quickly. Got to watch out though, because those Marines, in conjunction with the fungal growth, again, very, very dangerous combination. Now, notice that the yellow player has decided to go ahead and expand there. Meanwhile, Kaz taking this kind of forward expansion as well. As these players, the later on in the game they are, the more and more confrontation you're going to be seeing over these expansions, because they are going to be growing so close together. Point in case, look at this right here. We have ThorZaiN dropping an expansion just outside of Aristeo's expansion, so very close to one another, and of course Aristeo does know that expansion's there. But now here we go with MaNa and ThorZaiN looking to break out here. Notice how MaNa sent his Immortal out to absorb a lot of the siege tank fire. I feel like that worked very well for him, keeping the Colossi here on the side to deal with the Marines. Again, Kaz losing a lot of infantry there that he really didn't have to. Yes, defending that is one thing. Choosing to send a bunch of Marines to defend against Colossi is entirely different. But, oh man, we'll just wait and see here. Here comes a bunch of Overlords. I think this was maybe kind of a psych out. Okay, yes, I've got these Overlords here, and I could use maybe use them to threaten a Baneling drop, but obviously they don't have Banelings, so MaNa pretty much just called the bluff and kept moving forward. Now we see here that the tides have turned. MaNa will be in a position to assault this base, but how much damage can he actually do? Let's take a look here and see. Well, certainly with that great fungal, you know, if they keep that up, man, they're not going to be able to do much of anything. But I feel like that with this expansion going down here, this one as well, it's not going to be that bad of a situation. Obviously, if all the drones are lost, that is going to be really the make or break thing here. Can rebuild the hatchery. I feel like his economy is stable enough to deal with it right now. But losing all the drones as well just sets him back that much further. Basically just means all that larva has got to be committed to rebuilding the economy. And now we can see that MaNa and ThorZaiN just kind of like, okay, we've returned the favor. Not gonna overcommit here. Again, we don't want to run the risk of losing the small advantage that we've gained after losing so much there by losing that one expansion. So there's a couple different things going on right now. We've got, first of all, roaches from Aristeo over here harassing the mineral line for ThorZaiN's base. We've also got some interceptive Zerglings. Is that even a word? I don't think it's proper. Nah. You know what I mean. The Zerglings have intercepted the siege tanks mid-route on the way to their army proper here. And looking at ThorZaiN, you see he's got control of the watchtower. Very important thing to have here with those siege tanks, as it does allow them to really extend their vision and their firing capabilities to their full potential. But notice how Kaz and the Zerg player Aristeo have now pushed back a little bit. He has his own spotters here, several Vikings, certainly enough to contend with any sort of light scouting over here for ThorZaiN. And also, he's got to be careful, because once those couple Vikings go down for ThorZaiN, there's not really a lot that stands between the way of Kaz's Vikings and these Colossi right here. So that's just another something we have to keep an eye out for as we do go towards the 20-minute mark. Look at how we have a Nidus network on the way for Aristeo. So this is really just Aristeo looking to bypass this wall of red and green that we have here in the midfield and over on the right as well. We have a couple Overlords. These are potential spotters looking at where they're heading right now. I feel like the Protoss player is extremely vulnerable up here right now. And, I mean, really, it's going to take them a long time to reinforce. If that Nidus play gets off the ground, I believe it has the ability to turn the tide of this battle. But ThorZaiN, we just look at the income right now for the players. ThorZaiN has so much money coming in. 62 harvesters, almost 3,000 spikes there, 3,000 mineral spikes per minute. And, man, let me just tell you, this is one heck of a match. I feel like it's about to get even better as one Nidus is on the way. Let's see if we can fight it. Looks like units are streaming here at the top. We do have several roaches coming into the main base. MaNa deciding to warp in some units immediately in front of the Nidus. Basically, he's bringing those in, hoping to kill the Nidus before too many units get out. Not successful, though, so he is going to be forced to retreat back with the entirety of his forces, which leaves ThorZaiN here extremely vulnerable to air harassment such as Mutalisk, and also Zerglings, obviously with a few Hellions here, be able to do a decent bit of damage, but still nonetheless with 2 armies down here, and compared to, I don't know, 1.5 armies compared to the split that we have right now, I feel like Aristeo is just doing so much damage here. So I'm really going to be curious to see how they follow it up. I mean, really, with that attack, we also have Kaz over here with a drop shutting down ThorZaiN's expansion. We see he was able to get out several SCVs, but will it be enough? These SCVs are actually coming over, trying to repair the command center, but coming directly in front of the Marines. Oh no, he suffered so many casualties right there with another Nidus on the way. Let's see if we can find out where that one is. No, not right there, right there. Okay, it looks like it's going to be right on top of the expansion for MaNa. He's got so many probes right there, as well as a Marine drop coming in, as the Marines over here on the right side are going to be working on taking out more of these forces as well. And again, this is just a great play by Aristeo and Cause, realizing that they were kind of down and out for a little bit, coming back in a big way with continuous Nidus harassment. I mean, this is the type of thing that we saw in that game that I released in early January, where that Terran and the Zerg came back against the double Zerg. Yes, that was a little bit of a spoiler there, but hey, the game's been around for like 9 months or something, so... spoiler alert for all you people that still haven't seen it yet. Anyways, we do have no more Nidus Worms at this point. But I feel like this expansion's a little oversaturated right now. Not really by choice, though. Obviously, still running on 2 bases. That Zerg player very much wants to get out, take another expansion. He did lose this one amongst all that fighting there. And, of course, ThorZaiN continuing to harass, causes potential mineral line here. I mean, obviously, there is none, so... Not a lot in the way of SCV kills that can be had, but I feel like MaNa and ThorZaiN have clear map control. I feel like they've got superior income, and Yellow and Purple are just doing the smartest thing they can at this point. There was a drop coming up here, but it was spotted by one green unit hanging over there on the left side. You can see that on the minimap. Unfortunately for Kaz, that is going to get taken out right there. Nice pick off by MaNa. But we have another Nidus Worm over here. Aristeo coming into the factory line, and we'll be shutting down the tech labs, denying that siege tank production from all 3 factories there. It's going to be a huge hit, a delay again to their continued pressure. And now we have another Nidus network, this time coming in right here. Aristeo looking to shut down. What's he going to be shutting down? Possibly this expansion over here as well as this one. But he is just on the ball, man. Let me tell you, these guys are doing everything that they possibly can to try to close this gap here. I mean, ThorZaiN, 198, MaNa, 175. Let's just look at the armies real quick. And look, you can see 146, 98, 194, 175. Again, the income, you see now MaNa has assumed a leadership position for income in this game. ThorZaiN going very heavy Hellion. I mean, hey, why not? He just lost all of his tech labs. There's a bunch of Zerglings running around, which is really all the Zerg player can afford at this point. And, I mean, hey, you might as well, you know, if life gives you lemons, what was that? Demand to see life's manager, burn the life's house down. Oh god, I feel terrible for not memorizing that. But you get the point. You get the point. And that's exactly what I think we're seeing here. These guys just making the best of what they have to work with. Now, this Greater Spire, I feel like, is a great idea in principle, but as far as the ability to execute it, I think it's going to be a different story here. We do have 3 starports being currently constructed. I think we can expect to see Vikings very quickly switching over to really whatever else is needed to basically deal with this threat here. We do have the Protoss and Terran moving full force, basically a few units coming in, absorbing that first volley of siege tank fire, allowing ThorZaiN to come in, establish himself, and just establish clear domination over this choke point. I feel like at some point here in the near future, we're just going to see a GG, as we do have some Corruptors on the way. But as far as the army size go, look at that. You see, okay, there we go. Purple and Yellow leaving the game, concluding game number 1 in this Best of series from the EGMCSL. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. We definitely have more 2v2s on the way. I think I have up to 6. It's 2 series of 3v3, of 2v2 best of 3, up to 6. We'll see you in the next one.